country where the rivers run wide. Folks started asking what they're trying to hide. And behind closed doors and whispered halls, see a few big players thought they'd fool us all. But somebody lit a light in the dark, started connecting every missing mark. And the truth came knocking loud and hard. See, it shook the foundation of that house of cards. It's Beaufort County's house of cards. Pull one thread and it all falls apart. And we're raising the bar, shining a light wherever the secrets are. No more smoke screens, no more facades. The people are watching from near and far, and truth and transparency are our guard. We're tearing down that house of cards. And Facebook Live on a Thursday night, see, bringing the facts and shining the light. No matter who's winning, no matter who's scared, the truth's got a way of hitting hard. And the people deserve to know what's true, what they're spending and who's pulling through. From Bluffton streets to Beaufort yards, the truth keeps shaking that house of cards. It's Beaufort County's house of cards, where the truth cuts through like a shooting star. And Facebook, YouTube, and Big Patriot Radio, taking the story where the people go. Truth and transparency are our regard. No one's too big, no matter who you are. And freedom survives when citizens guard against every house of cards. So tune in every Thursday night. We'll keep shining the light, and truth keeps standing tall as every house of cards can fall.
You're listening to the House of Cards on Facebook, YouTube, and BigPatriotRadio.com. All licenses for music and content have been purchased by and are for the express use of the Big Patriot Radio Networks. All information, opinions, and topics are for entertainment purposes and do not expressly represent the opinions of the show's host and or producer. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. And good evening. Hey, everybody. Good evening. Welcome. It is July 23rd, and I am Mike Covert. Welcome to the Beaufort County's House of Cards here on Facebook, Facebook Live, YouTube, and on BigPatriotRadio.com. I'm coming to you live from the Big Patriot Radio studios here in the great state of South Carolina. Thank you so much for always tuning in, spending your Thursday evenings with us. If you follow on Facebook and YouTube, please go ahead, like, follow, and subscribe on the page there. Share it out with people in your network, your friends and neighbors, and social media groups. That really helps and hype the show up. That helps us out. And if you're listening on BigPatriotRadio.com all across the world right now, thank you. And welcome. Tonight's QR code right here. Take a picture of it now. That'll take you to buymeacoffee.com. To those of it already done that, that's a huge help. We greatly appreciate all those folks who click on this QR code. If you want to become a member, you can. If you don't. But clicking on that and taking you to buymeacoffee.com is greatly appreciated. We want to thank the folks that support this show and help make this possible. It's greatly appreciated. PB of Bluffton, thank you for your continued support. Yahoozy12, Felice, thank you so much. Any Mouse Star, in Pardo 523, thank you so much for your support. Let's see who else. BG, thank you. Gemini 8224, thank you for your support. Folly Jen and Fontaine Lynn, Bob and Chuck 180, Cad M17, Peter Cottontail 26, Baggett's Bots, Cliff W53, and Jeff and Lisa 624. Woo! Thank you all so much. It's greatly appreciated. And all you got to do, folks, is click on this QR code, and that will take you to buymeacoffee.com.
You have an incoming transmission.
Drop the tailgate, y'all.
Your attention, please.
You're listening worldwide to DJ Magic Mike
Have a good time
on BigPatriotRadio.com.
Hey, we're gonna jump right into it. We got a big show tonight. Got a story to talk about, an issue to talk about. You saw the topic of the show was, do we pay now or pay later? What do we do? And you saw the graphics there. Infrastructure sales tax versus property tax, increase where and which is fair or not. Let's talk about it. All right. We have hopefully a little bit later on. Right now he's on Fox News, but Duke Buckner, who running for Senate here in South Carolina, hopefully he wants to get the GOP nomination to fill the late great Lindsey Graham seat. He'll be on with us. But tonight I want to talk about a subject that it affects every homeowner. It affects every renter. It affects every business owner, every employee. It affects every family in the community. And it even affects tourism, really. And that's how we pay for infrastructure. Whenever local governments need money for roads, bridges, drainage, public safety facilities, or other major projects, the conversation usually comes down to two choices. And I'm talking about those things that aren't already a part of your tax bill. Those two choices usually is one, a voter-approved infrastructure sales tax, and the other is increasing property taxes. Yes, there are other ways and means. Those are the two topics that come up mostly. Now, before anybody, says, one is good and the other is bad, or they're both bad, or they're both good, or whatever, let's have an honest conversation about the differences in these two topics. Now, a property tax increase falls primarily on property owners. If you own a home, your tax bill goes up. If you own a business, your costs go up. Landlords often, and rightly so, they pass those costs, those increased costs, along through forms of higher rent. Even people who don't own property can end up paying more because those costs, they ripple down through the local economy. And here's the challenge with property taxes. Once they're increased, very difficult to reduce and remove. That very, very, very difficult. They become part of the annual budget. Taxpayers may continue to pay higher rates year after year because of something that was set maybe years prior. Now, an infrastructure sales tax works differently. Everyone who makes taxable purchases contributes, including visitors, tourists, people who live outside of the county, but they shop, dine, vacation here, whatever. In communities with significant tourism like ours and maybe like yours, wherever you're listening, that can spread the costs well beyond the local residents. Most times, residents of areas that have tourism want to have the tourists pay the lion's share of increased infrastructure. I get it. Totally get it. Another important difference is that infrastructure sales taxes are often presented to voters for approval and may be limited to specific capital projects with a defined end date, as it is in South Carolina. Your state may be different. In South Carolina, there has to be a specific project and a specific end date, along with a lot of other things. When the approved projects are complete or the authorized funding period ends, the tax generally expires unless voters approve it again. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. That doesn't automatically make every sales tax proposal a good deal. Citizens should always ask questions. All the citizens' questions are important. What projects are being funded? Who decided these priorities? How much is each project actually going to cost? Is there independent oversight? Will the public receive regular, reports of project management? Can the funds be redirected at a later time or not? And what happens if revenues fall short or exceed expectations? Those are all legitimate questions. Transparency matters just as much as the funding method. If you end up talking to someone in your county or your town or municipality, or we got folks down in Louisiana in your township, and they don't want to talk about this, and they're the elected leaders, that's a huge problem because they need to talk to you about this. They need to hear you. Likewise, governments should demonstrate they've been acting as responsible stewards of existing taxpayer dollars before asking for additional revenue. This is going to resonate extremely well here in Beaufort County for those folks listening and watching. Residents deserve confidence that current funds are being managed efficiently and that new money will be spent exactly as promised. All right, let's take a time out right there for a second. Here in Beaufort County, the rub with that is the 2018 infrastructure sales tax referendum, the 1% sales tax. Don't call it a penny because it's not a penny. That's almost insulting to people who have a thinking brain. The 2018 list of items, it was like $240 million. There are several projects that are still not completed. Now, this week, I had the opportunity to go to a Beaufort Tea Party meeting and actually sat with County Council Vice Chairwoman Anna Tabernick, and I had a great conversation with her. And we were there, mainly her, but we were there, and I answered some questions. She answered the lion's share. And people had legitimate questions. They had legitimate questions. And there was a lot of questions and a lot of concern and a lot of mild anger about this 2018 list that's still not completed. The money was raised, the tax ended, but the items didn't get completed. So what some folks don't realize is those items that I've been able to find that are not completed are in the pathways and sidewalks, if you will, category. They haven't been able to complete them because of a lack of right-of-way approval. That's a very long, it can be very long, legal battle trying to get rights of way. And they have to do that. It wouldn't behoove a county or municipality to, eminent domain a right of way. That would be like stabbing yourself. So they have to go through the legal process, and many of those have not been completed. That's not a fault of anybody other than unless somebody's been sleeping at the wheel, but the rights of way have not been accomplished. Many folks have said, hey, I'm not paying any more until that gets done. I get it. I understand that. Part of that I have boiling in my head. I understand. But the truth of the matter is some of the reasoning is that they haven't gotten the rights of way to complete the complete lion's share. Now, since that sales tax approval, the county, I guess it was last cycle, there was it was over $1 billion, and then it got shuttled down, if you will, to, I think it was 900 million or something like that. That failed miserably at the ballot box. The school board has had one, and now the county is up again. And what they're proposing is it's a list of 84 projects, and I've got them right here. And if anybody wants to know any, hey, is Creek Lane, is that going to get done? Just ask away in your chat bar, and I'll be glad to tell you and what it costs. So anyway, it's like 84 projects, $780 million. Now, what I was not aware of, and I appreciate Anna giving me the information, was that the list that the TAC, or the group that put this together, and yeah, that was led by former Bluffton Mayor Lisa Solka, that group that met for multiple weeks, the list they put out was actually much higher. So this conversation came about when I said, Anna, that if this $780 million had been whittled down a little bit, well, I say a little bit, actually quite a lot, this might have been easier to swallow by the public. But $780 million just coming off of a failed 900, that just seems a lot. Well, actually, it was way more than that. So I'm not vouching for them that it came down, but it did come down. Now, before I get back to thoughts here, I looked at this list, and I looked at the list over for about a half hour or so while we were before the meeting started, and it's separated into safety improvements, widening, dirt road paving, and then resurfacing. So immediately, everything that's in the safety improvement section is top shelf to me. Top shelf. Widening deserves a look. Dirt road paving and resurfacing, that's an easy, almost, I don't know, $280 million that could be cut off. We'd be down to 500 million. I venture to say that $500 million would have been easier for the public to understand than 780 million. Why do we need this stuff? Well, have you traveled on our roads lately? Our infrastructure is horrible. Point blank. There's been too many people, too fast, and the Transportation Commission, which, by the way, GOP winner Craig Gordon is the Transportation Commission chairman, who blew his horn about all the things he does. Look, that commission only gets $3 million a year. That couldn't even resurface 170. So he hasn't done anything. And if he had, our roads wouldn't be so shitty to begin with. But be that as it may, some people argue that sales tax disproportionately affect lower income families because they consume a larger share of household income. I tend to agree with that. Sales taxes are inherently regressive. It hurts the least of us more than the top of us. Others argue that property taxes place increasing pressure on retirees and homeowners living on fixed incomes whose property values rise faster than their incomes. Okay, I'll buy that. Both perspectives deserve consideration. That's why these decisions should never be reduced to campaign slogans or political talking points. And don't forget, here in South Carolina, it is prudent. It is prudent that during the next, what is it? It's July, so August, September, October, no, really 3.5 months. You got like 3.5 months to put up with this and decide. In South Carolina, it is against the ethics laws for a town council person, a county council person, whatever, to publicly make a statement for or against a ballot referendum. They cannot do that. That is an ethics violation with flaming red light on it. Okay. One of the things that has really torqued me, and Anna Tabernick and I talked about this, and I'm glad that she obviously listened, and so did others, is the mentality that some of the staff or the administration of Beaufort County government had been putting out there that we need to educate. And even some of the council members, one on Hilton Head that's getting ready to fall off, and one in Bluffton or Okatee that's getting ready to fall off, they have the opinion vocally that, we need to educate these people. Well, that's a slap in the face to everyone who knows how to, tie their shoes. You don't need to educate me on anything. You want to give me the information, let me decide for myself. That's fantastic, and I think that's a good way to go about it. But we don't need to be educated, and that is a slap in the face. And you know what? That could have been one of the catalysts that turned people off. And if that was one of the catalysts, well, Larry and Joe, you did a fine job of ruining your own, just wanting the sales tax the last time. So they've stopped that. It's not going to be, Ann and I were talking about it, it's not going to be an education. They're going to provide the information from a third-party group. Watch it closely. I do definitely say so, to put the information out there and you make the decision on your own. These decisions require facts. They require accountability. And again, folks, we'll time out. Please go in your chat bar and let me know, what's your opinion on the sales tax, infrastructure sales tax referendum question of 1% added to the sales tax? Or what is your opinion of property tax increase? Because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, let's be real about this. We've got shitty roads. That's just a point. We've got the bad roads. They have to be fixed. It's a matter of how are we going to pay for it? You cannot, please don't have the attitude, it's the county's problem to figure out. The county, your county, my county, their county, does not make money. Okay? The money comes from the taxpayer. We have to decide, how are we going to get it to them? Well, the state should pay for it. Well, the state doesn't. That's just a fact. That's part of life here. The state doesn't. And if the state did, their money is, guess what? Ding, ding, our money. It comes from us. The state doesn't produce anything. So they require facts and it requires accountability. And most importantly, this requires an informed public. Whether your community, ultimately chooses an infrastructure sales tax or a property tax increase, the decision should be based on crystal clear information. Not fear, not pressure, and by all means, not political theater. Local government, we say this all the time, works best when citizens understand exactly what they're being asked to support, what they'll receive in return, and how success will be measured. Now, for those of you that are on town councils, county councils, commissions, boards of supervisors, whatever, school boards, you do need to understand something to be crystal clear about it from the public's point of view. Don't bullshit us, because we can smell a bullshitter faster than anything. The public is not stupid. Now, the public may not understand how you get an ordinance passed, because that's not what they do every day. But when it comes down to talking about information, it needs to be clear. It needs to be crystal clear, not fear monger, not pressure, and not political theater. Just give us the facts, ma'am. And at the end of the day, this really is not simply about taxes. It's about trust. And we have that issue here in Beaufort County. Let's go to the chat and take a look at things. Mike, hey, buddy, how you doing? He says, why is more money needed when more and more houses are built, therefore contributing more property taxes? Excellent question. And number two, why not put a little more pressure on those developers to put some more infrastructure in? I couldn't agree more with you. I have always been and will continue to be a vocal promoter of the and like that, the old brain goes blank. That exact thing, taxing, feeing, whatever it is. We had those, and I think they need to be raised in Beaufort County. And what we had a library tax, parks and recreation. There was roads. There was, I think, stormwater got in there. There was, these are fees that they pay, developers pay, along with, zoning fee and building permit fee and all these different fees. Those were part of it. I don't know if they've gotten rid of those or not. I doubt it, especially seeing what's going on here in Bluffton and the town as well. But, Mike, I have always thought that those need to be increased. Whatever the method is that you have to go through to have them increased, whether that involves a state delegation or not, I think we're at a place that the lion's share of the community in Beaufort County would support that people who build, houses, developments, townhouses, or apartment buildings that are going up everywhere, they should pay for the roads. They should pay for the sewer and the water and the this and the that. I've always felt that way. And if anybody that's on a commission or a county council or whatever, love to hear your thoughts on that. But let's just take, for example, out here in Pritchardville, where at New Riverside, there's been new development after new development after new development. The county, the taxpayers, not really the county, but the taxpayers through the county should not have to pay one penny to put roads in that said development. They should not have to pay one penny to get water and sewer into that development, cable TV, or anything else. They should not have to pay a penny to get that in there. So, Mike, I appreciate that. I hope that answers your question, and I hope others will respond as well. So it is about trust. Trust that public officials are telling the truth. Trust that the projects will be completed as promised. Trust that taxpayer dollars are going to be protected. All those things that we saw in Beaufort County at the 2018 sales tax that have failed, that needs to be fixed. That needs to be corrected. And the trust that government remembers one simple principle. Every dollar it spends first belonged to someone who worked hard to earn it. When the local government, when the state government, when the federal government really takes a step back and says, we didn't create something to get this pile of money. John and Jane Doe America worked their ass off, putting plumbing pipes in the ground, or feeding someone, or educating someone, or putting out house fires, or whatever. And that's how we got this. That's why these conversations matter. And let me tell you, it's not because anyone enjoys paying taxes. I don't know anybody that wakes up in the morning and says, wow, I think I'll go write a check to Uncle Sam or to Beaufort County or to South Carolina. But because every community deserves safe roads, reliable infrastructure, responsible financial management, and leaders willing to earn, not assume the public's trust. Now, let's bring this conversation home to Beaufort County, and our guest just arrived. He's back there in the green room. We'll bring him on here shortly. This November, again, voters are going to be asked to make one of the largest financial decisions in our county's history. Told you about they call it a 1 cent. It's a 1% transportation sales tax referendum, generating $780 million, and it's a tax over 9 years. Now, if they accumulate to $780 million faster than 9 years, that's great. Tax ends. They can't go over 9 years, however. And again, this is for road widening, intersection improvements, resurfacing, and other transportation projects. Again, the state doesn't get involved in it. Yeah, the state will send, they'll send some money to do a bridge like 278. The federal government can be, you can go up there and lobby in front of your congresswomen, your senators, to try to receive some kind of monetary help, and that works. But it is up to us. According to the county's proposal, $326 million of that $780 would be dedicated to safety and intersection improvements. With what's on that list and what we're dealing with around here on the roads, I'm actually okay with the lion's share of that needing to be done. Now, quite frankly, all those $326 million projects, it'll take 10 years, I'm sure, 8 years at the least to get all that done. It's not going to happen overnight. $205 million to road widening. I think that could be talked about. And $250 million to resurface and paving dirt road projects. That, I believe, is a low priority and should be taken off first. Or, I'll tell you another way how we can do that. But first, no one disputes that Beaufort County has these transportation problems and challenges. Our population growth has placed tremendous pressure on our roads, our schools, everything, especially here in the southern part of the county. Congestion is real. And no, for you folks in northern Beaufort County, this is not taking anything away from you. Please, we got to get out of that mentality of the northern part of the county and the southern part of the county. The fact is what the facts are what the facts are. The growth explosion happened here. We got to put up with it. Congestion is real. Safety concerns are real. Infrastructure improvements are needed. Yes, there are projects north of the Broad that are absolutely critical that have to be done. Not saying it's not. Is it the right plan? Is it the right amount? And is this the right time? That's not an anti-road question. That's not an anti-tax or a pro-tax question. That is a taxpayer question. So I told you about the pathways and the sidewalks and the rights of way. But before asking taxpayers to approve another major referendum, the government should clearly explain the lessons learned from the previous defeat. There should be an after-action plan. That's what happens in the military and in big corporations. When something happens in some communities, when there's a problem and after it's over with, there's an after-action plan. Let's talk about what we saw, what we did, what we learned, what we didn't do, and how we can make it better next time. Citizens deserve, straightforward answers about the selection of projects, the timelines, the oversight. This set of projects has an oversight source in it. Am I comfortable with it yet? No, but it's a topic we can talk about. It's a topic we can talk about. And when I sat down with Anna Tabernick, we talked about this in the oversight. They want to model it after the school board's last tax. I think that deserves more conversation, and I'm okay with talking about it. Oversight, accountability, large infrastructure programs often take years to complete, and unexpected delays or rising costs can affect the delivery. It's absolutely true. That's why transparency throughout the life of the program is just as important as the projects themselves. This campaign for this road improvements should not be decided by campaign slogans. Felice checking in. Hey, Felice, she says the council has not improved since the 2024 referendum. In fact, it's most assuredly going backwards with Larry and Joe's success in putting in the candidates that will continue their mantra. There's a lot to unpack there, but I think she's exactly spot on. We've already kind of said some of that already with the failed programs previously and the failed tax request or referendum. And their let's educate the people, that's enough to turn somebody away. Doesn't matter what the rest of it is. You've turned them off. So anyway, no campaign slogans for this, no fancy things. Let's do it by facts. Let's just get some facts straight and let the voters decide. Whether you ultimately vote yes or you vote no, every citizen should expect detailed information, open debate. If they try to shut you down, there's a problem. Accountability from elected officials. You should not ask for are you in favor or not, because ethically they cannot answer that question. You're going to see question 2. There's 2 questions on the ballot this November. Question 1, rather, says, blah, blah, blah. Will you approve $780 million in a 1% sales tax and all the legal blah, 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 blah? Yes or no? Question 2, and here's the interesting thing. Question 2 says, will you approve $450 million in bonds for this $780 million project? Now, the words they chose, I think the legal department in Beaufort County probably could have done a better job, as with most things. The words they chose can or could lead someone to think, well, is it 780 plus 450? No, it's 450 million. Will you approve those in bonding? And then the rest, I don't know, 300 million be done by a sales tax of 1% increase. So let's talk about that. Maybe you don't know what bonds are, and that's cool. Most don't. The bonds are future debt. Okay? When the county releases these bonds, people come and buy them. That money is almost like that. The projects like the road resurfacing or whatever, that can be done like bingo, because that money will be there almost immediately as fast as those bonds sell. The rest of it, the 330 million or whatever it comes up to be, would be done by sales tax. Now, the way that works is if number 1 fails, the $780 million question, and number 2 passes, it doesn't matter, because you said no to the overall projects. So if 1 passes and 2 passes, then 450 million of that 780 is going to come off right at the top. And that'll be done by bonding, future debt. The rest will be done by sales tax increase. That's today debt. So it's something to think about. $780 million is not just another number on the ballot. There's a lot of numbers on the ballot, and that's not just another one. It's a long-term commitment that's going to shape Beaufort County's transportation system. It's going to shape it and the taxpayers for years to come. So find out about it. Let's talk about it. Again, if you want to know some of the stuff on here, $780 million, just give us a holler. We'll be glad to share.
You have an incoming transmission.
Drop the tailgate, y'all.
Your attention, please.
You're listening worldwide to DJ Magic Mike
We're gonna have a good time
on BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right, we're going to get to our guest. Let me put some of this down here. We go. All right, our guest tonight is going to pivot us from talking about sales taxes. That's fun. And we're going to talk about the South Carolina Senate special primary coming up due to the passing, as I said, of the late Senator Lindsey Graham. One of the folks who declared themselves a candidate, like first or second, is no stranger to the show. no stranger to the Low Country. My good friend Duke lives in the Waldoboro area. He is a practicing attorney at law. Graduated from South Carolina State University. He's got a couple of degrees from Nova Southeastern. Again, he is a lawyer. Please join me in welcoming. Let me get my pages turned here. Dwayne Duke Buckner to the show. There he is.
Good evening, Mike.
How are you, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, and my brother, anytime, you are always welcome here. How was the big Fox interview?
I think it went well. You know, she said I had some internet issues towards the end, but I don't know. I told her I have 5G, so it should have been working fine. But, you know, technology is technology, so we'll see.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You know, we all hate it that the untimely and very surprising and shocking, death of Senator Graham happened. And we last week we had like a little memorial for him. But we do need to carry the business, and he would want that. He would want the business of South Carolina carried on immediately. Obviously, the governor stepped in and appointed his sister as the interim senator. You came out, like I said, you were either first or second or right in there. I don't remember. I thought it was first to say, hey, I am all in for this. Tell me, I mean, you are a man of the people. What drove you to say, all right, let's run for the U.S. Senate?
Mike, the reason I'm running for U.S. Senate is to warn the American people and the great people of South Carolina about the impending socialist revolution that is trying to happen in our country and the subsequent Communist Party rule if that were to happen. There are two revolutions that have to happen before you get to communism. The first is the democratic revolution. That's when the people rise up against the monarchy or the oligarchy or the feudal system or whatever oppression. We had that in 1776. Mm-hmm. The next revolution that has to happen before you get to communism is the socialist revolution. And that's when the government takes control of private property, private enterprise, agriculture, and means of production. Mm-hmm. When that happens, the next step is communism. And of course, we know under communism, millions of innocent people die, either starved to death, shot and killed because they don't comply. You have complete government control over your life. Mm-hmm. And we don't want that in the United States. We have not had a socialist revolution in 250 years.
Are you concerned? Well, this is probably a stupid way to ask that, but let me rephrase it. What's your feeling when you either pick up a newspaper or turn on a TV show, a news show, and they're talking about these Democrat Socialists of America and how they're starting to pick off seats and run against mainstream Republicans? That's extremely scary.
Yes, sir. Well, Mike, there are two ways the socialist revolution can happen. It's two ways. First is the democratic way, which means that there are democratic socialists who believe the revolution can happen through the ballot box by getting socialists elected to Congress and take over that way. But there's another group of socialists that believe that revolution can only happen through violence. And that's what you see happening all across America. Violent protests, clashes with the police and ICE agents, chaos and mayhem and mob rule, all of that is part of the socialist plan to bring down America from within. And I am adamant on warning the American people not to buy into the socialist message. And the reason why it's become so palatable now is because of the high cost of housing, food, rent, groceries, insurance. So the socialist message of free food, free housing, free health care, free everything sounds very appealing, especially to the younger generation. But they don't realize that if that socialist revolution happens, the next is communism. And again, we don't want that in our country.
No, we don't. And you bring up a good point. And I mean, you're an educated man. You've been to 3 universities. When I look at today's, and this is for the last 5-10 years to forward, people that are in some, and I don't mean all, but some folks that are at schools of higher education come up with some of the most brain dead things. And when I see these socialists on these school campuses, Duke, it's when you say free this, free that. I mean, these kids, I shouldn't call them kids, but they are to me. These kids are very somewhat intelligent. I'm going to say that, but I mean, did somebody did like a generation skip common sense somewhere?
Well, they have been.
Is it brainwashing?
Let me just say that the socialists have infiltrated our universities, our schools, with the communist agenda of, how can I say it? Well, first of all, they don't want to have anything to do with God at all, because the Communist Party has to be their God. So they want to remove God from any part of the public square.
Yeah.
Second, they want to drive division between people, exploit discontentment, have black against white, male against female, old against young. And all of that is to cause protests, mass demonstrations in the streets, and a lot of people don't realize that they're being used.
Yeah.
Because they'll set up an organization, XYZ for justice or XYZ for equal opportunity, and they don't care anything about that. All they want to do is get people out in the middle of the street fighting, protesting. Yes, sir. In order to cause confusion and chaos and mayhem, to bring about that socialist revolution.
Duke, let me change gears just a little bit. That's absolutely important, right at the top of the list. Something else that's very important, and we hear about it more and more every day. Today's been a very hot button item day when it comes to the war in Iran. Brent crude is over $100. West Texas sweet is going to be getting close to it. Apparently, the Trump administration gave Iran the big middle finger because they finally have admitted that they're getting used by Iran. The mullahs over there, they don't want to talk about this. Do we need, in your opinion, as a senator, you would have a direct influence on this. Yes. Do we need to pack it up and come home, or do we need to finish the job and then get out?
We need to finish the job. We need to finish the job. And let me tell you, the president does not get the credit he deserves for making the hard decision to go in and neutralize the nuclear threat that Iran posed to the world and to the United States. Things was going great. Gas was low. I mean, the economy, we were moving down the road, and things were going good, but he did the hard thing. He didn't have to do that. He could have kicked the can down the road, but he said, no, we have to deal with this nuclear threat, because if Iran becomes a nuclear power and their radical jihadists and ideology, it would not go well in the international community with Iran being able to have that type of weapon of mass destruction. So I give the president credit for doing. He didn't have to do that. That's what I'm trying to say. He didn't have to do that, but he did it because it was in the best interest of the United States. And so, 100%. Gas is up. That's all. We got to get past that. We got to understand this is for a long-term benefit for the country and safety for our children and grandchildren.
I think it also could be said that it's for the long-term benefit of the world.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
that we're on one small bad step into a real bad show.
Yes.
I want to talk about education a little bit. In your opinion, does the federal government have a place being involved in, state public education? And if they don't, do you believe that the federal Department of Education, should that be shut down or at least completely brought back into lane where so much oversight to the states is not at Washington's dinner table?
Well, Mike, I was a strong supporter of abolishing the Department of Education and moving them completely out of the picture. And let me tell you why. Number one, all of the critical race theory, all of the federal dollars that keep districts from actually having and improving test scores, because if they got an improved test scores, then they wouldn't get the federal money. I'm talking for Child of One or Chapter One or those type programs, and so they're incentivized counties to remain poor so that they can continue to receive government assistance. The only thing that I see that the federal government can do in terms of federal public education initiatives is to make sure that if you go to college and they say that if you do XYZ and pay your money, you will receive XYZ diploma or degree, and they fail to do that, then there's a right of cause of action through the federal government to oversight to make sure that colleges are not taking people's money and not fulfilling the obligations that they said they would do by awarding degrees when they should be awarded.
Gotcha. Duke, if you are elected as the GOP nominee, you are going to face off against a Democrat doctor who is known for a positive stance on child transgenderism, and quite frankly, what I have been reading in favor of what we consider mutilation due to sex changes in children. Your thoughts on that type of rhetoric?
Mike, the socialists have found a home in Dr. Annie Andrews' Democratic Party. And they have little regard for the values that most Americans hold dear to. Like, we don't believe, as you mentioned, sex changes for children, mutilation of children. As a doctor, she has a Hippocratic oath to do no harm. But that is irreparable harm to young children who are trying to figure out at a young age the challenges that they're facing in terms of their body and their body changing. So I can't go along with that.
Good.
That it's wrong. It's despicable, plain and simple.
I'm sure I know the answer to this. Again, assuming you are the GOP nominee, would you have any problem having an on-stage debate with Dr. Andrews?
Well, I look forward to debating her because, like I said, her party is swung so far to the left, and the socialist ideas of the Democratic Party, they're not the Democratic Party of our father and our grandfather. That party is gone. Their true colors have come out, and their true colors is division, hate, violence, mob rule, clashes with police, because they want to bring about the socialist revolution. And that socialist revolution exploits discontentment amongst people. And once they can find that discontentment, they use that in order to get mass protests, people out in the streets, folks getting paid to protest. You do realize that.
Absolutely.
They literally get paid, and they get paid more if they get arrested. So all of this is designed to cause division. And I'm going to go up to Washington, D.C. and say, hey, let's start doing the golden rule. Let's treat people the way we want to treat people. Let's love each other instead of fighting amongst one another, and understand who the real enemy is, which are the socialists, which have infiltrated not only the Democratic Party, but they've also clandestinely operate within the Republican Party as well. And how do I know that? We're nearing $40 trillion in debt, continued expansion of government. We've got to weed out the socialists. And this is what I tell anybody, and I hope if any socialists are watching this video, America is a free capitalist, free market society. And if you want to live in a democratic socialist or any kind of socialist country, you need to leave the United States and go and live in that socialist country and leave America alone.
That's my couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. One of our good friend viewers at Nancy Pardo York absolutely finished the job. She says she's right there with you.
Yes.
I want to go into, I've heard some of the talking heads throughout the state have made comments. They're kind of lauding your campaign as the campaign to bring the first time two black males are the senators for the state of South Carolina. Now, when I hear that, I say, okay, yes, that does check off another box of accomplishments. But more importantly, for the state as a whole, we need to ensure the most important thing is that our interests are represented as best as possible in Washington, D.C. How do you feel about that? I mean, that should be a moment of pride and to be proud, but there's a lot of work to do.
Mike, I don't get into race. I really don't get into that, because the person who should represent South Carolina should be the best qualified, the best person who can go up there and articulate the values and beliefs of the majority of the citizens of South Carolina, who has a heart to serve. And it doesn't matter whether they're black, white, male, or female. Whoever's going to go up there and do a great job. So when, I get these questions about the, as a black Republican, or I'm like, listen, let me shut that down, because let's get past that. I'm an American citizen. I love the state of South Carolina, and my heart is to serve and do my best to articulate and advocate for South Carolina and our nation in Washington, D.C. Sir.
As senator, if you win the election, you become senator. You've already mentioned about the socialist communist piece of the pie.
Yes.
Aside from that, what are your priorities you see needing attention straight away for South Carolina?
Well, it's two. One is affordability, housing affordability. It is very difficult for folks to be able to buy a house. Rent payments are astronomically high. And so we have to get housing more affordable. And there's two ways to do that. First, we got to understand economics. When you have more demand than you have supply, prices go up.
Sure.
So we have to deal with demand. And the way we deal with demand is understanding that we had hundreds and thousands of illegal immigrants or aliens or folks or whoever you want to call them. They came into this country illegally, and they are competing for housing opportunities against citizens who were born here, live here, and have the legal right to be here. So, as the president has done and said, and he put Tom Homan as the border czar, we have to deport all illegals from this country because they are here illegally. And once we do that, that's going to help to ease some of the demand on housing because they are taking up housing opportunities. Second, to help ease demand is we want to encourage marriages in our country. Why? Because when we encourage marriage, that frees up more housing because folks are living together instead of this person has their own place, this person has their own place, this person has their own place. And third, we have to make sure that on the demand side, that if you are a landlord that has an apartment complex and you're getting any kind of subsidized help from the government, anybody that you rent from or rent to, they're going to have to show proof of citizenship. If not, you're not going to be able to rent them any kind of place. And that will help in my opinion, ease demand. And then on the supply side is two things we can do. One, there are a lot of houses that are dilapidated, especially in my home county of Colleton County and all throughout the state, where you have whoever the homeowner, they may have passed, or it could be caught up in heirs property, and that house or that home is just falling apart. There should be monies available to be able to go in, fix that house up, renovate it, and put it back on the market for a person to be able to rent that house instead of it just falling apart and becoming dilapidated. So we have to find a way to be able to take these older homes that are dilapidated and put them back on the market. And then second is that we have to find a way to reduce the cost of construction. And that's in materials, labor. We have to look at new technologies on how we can build houses more affordable, different types of material that may be less expensive, and also remove any unnecessary building regulations that are driving up the cost.
Huge.
It's ridiculous. So if we do those things, I think we can ease the housing crisis that we have here in the country and make it more affordable. And then the second thing we have to do is reduce our nearing 40 trillion national debt and the interest that we're paying on that debt that causes inflation. That's what's driving the cost of things, is the inflation that we're paying on that debt, and also placing that debt on further future generations
Yeah.
to have to be able to pay. And so what I want to institute is a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. No more deficit spending unless it's like an emergency or, some type of emergency, but the federal government should operate like a budget, like you and I operate on a family or a business budget. And those are the two main issues.
Well, I agree with you there. I want to stay with economics a second. And do you think we're ever going to see Social Security as it is, in its current form, replaced with something? And I had this, I came up with this when I ran for Congress, and then others jumped on it. It's not my idea, but anyway, something akin to market-based investing. Instead of having Social Security seen as a what's the word? It's a horrible definition that they call it, but instead of it being insolvent, that it's quickly approaching, if it were to go to market-based, what's your thoughts about that?
Listen, this is what I think about Social Security. I think that we should try to get an individual should have the right to seek a higher return on their Social Security investment. So if there's 100% of Social Security, $100, and let's say of that $100 that I'm putting aside, that I want to take 10% of that and try to find or seek to invest it in whatever I want to invest it in to seek a higher return, I should be able to do that to whatever percentage that I want, whether it's 5%, 10%, 20%, or if I want to put 100% of it in there. That should be my choice to be able to do that. Right now, you can't do that. And then the other issue I have is that taxing Social Security once you start receiving benefits as income. I think that, to me, that's wrong. You paid that money. That's your money. Why should you be taxed on it when you start drawing it out? I have a problem with that. Yes, sir.
Understand.
Yes, sir.
Duke, it's been fantastic talking with you.
Thank you.
What you've got
Thank
this is a quick campaign. I think, is it
Yes,
August
sir.
11th?
Yes.
Is that the primary day?
Yeah, August 11th. Early voting starts August the 6th. So and then if there's a runoff, I think it's the 25th or something like that. Yes, sir.
I would imagine, and I'm looking today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are, and this is my rough calculation, there are 6 of you that have, officially filed. It was 5, but Sanford, Governor Sanford got into it. I would imagine there's a couple more probably going to jump in there. So runoff's probably going to happen. You're going to have to make. You're going to be all over the state. Are you excited for this? This is unprecedented, really. So fast. Are you you're pretty excited about
Yes,
taking your message?
Yes, I'm very excited about taking the message. And Mike, let me tell you why. I'm passionate about stopping this socialist revolution because it is a dangerous threat to the security of the United States, and not only here, but all around the world. Communist China is behind a lot of the propaganda. Russia, all of these communist countries want to spread communism around the world. And we are the last, I don't know, we're the last stronghold of capitalism.
Yeah.
And they want to take us down, Mike.
Oh,
and when I see these folks out here fighting in the streets, and you got to understand, the socialists, they'll put on an Obama t-shirt and they'll put on a MAGA hat. They don't care. All they want to do is instigate and cause mayhem and violence in the street.
It's a good point.
And so, yeah, they don't care. They wear whatever. All they want to do is cause violent clashes with the police. When you look at the ICE protests, does that make any sense for you to protest wanting to keep somebody here who's illegal? It shouldn't be here. I don't. It doesn't. But that's where we are in America. And then you have Ocasio-Cortez, if my understanding is advocating that folks who are not citizens should have the right to vote. I mean,
absolutely,
that is crazy. But
crazy.
that is the socialist message. I'm passionate about this because I don't want to see millions of Americans, innocent Americans, starve to death like they did in China under Mao Zedong. 34 million Chinese people either died through starvation, committed suicide because they just couldn't take it, or they were just shot and killed.
Yeah,
that's communism.
Yep.
And we don't want that here, and I don't want to see that. I don't want that for my children or our grandchildren or anybody. So that's why I'm passionate about
absolutely. And brother, I'm right there with you. And you mentioned of something very, very poignant. And I'm furthest thing from a teacher, but I really hope and pray that in some schools somewhere they're teaching about Mao or they're teaching about Stalin. And it wasn't fun. This isn't fun. Those two are basis of oppression for everybody. For everybody. Yes. Our good friend Debbie Barton just chimed in. I'm voting for Duke, she says. All right, Debbie, thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate that. Tell your friends and family.
That's right. And this is my beautiful wife, Teresa. She says, thank you for serving South Carolina. My friend, it is a pleasure having you on here. At your convenience. Absolutely. Whenever you want to come back, you are always welcome. Any last parting words for everybody that's watching?
Yes, sir. Folks can go to my website, voteforduke.com. I'm sorry. DukeForAmerica.com. DukeForAmerica.com. sign up to volunteer, make a donation at dukeforamerica.com. And if they got any questions or comments, they can call me directly at 843-217-3628. I do my best to answer my phone. If not, I try to call people back as soon as possible. So that's dukeforamerica.com. Yes, sir.
Is that it right there? Is that
That's it.
all right?
Yep.
And give us your number one more time.
Yes, 843-217-3628.
3628. That's 843-217-3628.
Yes, sir.
How many
Yes,
how
sir.
many other Senate candidates give you their phone number? That says a lot right there. Duke, you're a scholar and a gentleman, and I really appreciate you being here. Duke Buckner, Duke for America, South Carolina Senate race in just a matter of days. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mike.
All right. It is 11 minutes past the top of the hour.
Let's go! The station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right, a couple of things real quick, and I want to, again, thank you to Duke Buckner for coming on. Go check him out on his website, dukeforamerica.com, dukeforamerica.com. And if you want to call him, you got questions, 843-217-3628. Again, how many Senate candidates give you their phone number? Unbelievable. That's awesome. And I really appreciate him being here. All right, a couple of quick pieces of news. We have a candidate I don't think it's ready yet, the 31st. On Hilton Head, we have someone who has announced publicly of his intention to file on the 31st of July. He was on the show last week. You may have remembered him. David Ferguson is going to be running for mayor of Hilton Head Island. This is going to be an exciting race to watch. I would think that the current mayor, Alan Perry, will run for re-election. I don't have any reason to think that he wouldn't. I don't know. I haven't heard that from him. People are going to want to know both plans from both candidates as Hilton Head moves. It's quickly moving and changing into a new phase of existence, kind of, so to speak. And Dave Ferguson, who was on a show last week, has a lot to say about that. We'll get him back on here, but that came out just this morning, as a matter of fact. All right, we have been following ever since the primaries here in South Carolina. We've been following a SuperPAC issue. You might remember the group called Alliance for a Balanced Lowcountry, or is it Alliance for Lowcountry Balance, whatever. They finally filed their documents with the FEC. $96,000 was raised, and they spent just a couple hundred shy of that. No other information has been provided. They still have the ability, the time frame, to file more information about contributions and disbursements. Now, there is some concern, and whether they have to or not, we'll see what happens. Now, we have noticed something. One particular thing that doing the investigations with this, one thing really stuck out. There's a gentleman from Charleston who was pretty vocal, like exceptionally vocal, during the whole Pine Island thing, during all of that battle. He lives in Charleston. He has property on St. Helena. I don't know if it's a house or an RV or just a field. I don't know. That doesn't matter. He has a address here, an address in Charleston. So this guy and his wife made personal donations to the following candidates. Okay. And this is public information: Craig Gordon, Libby Galloway, Joshua Hauer, and I believe Michael Anderson. And I don't believe there's anybody else, but if there was, just correct me. But I know he did there. And we're talking 1,000, 2,000. Sometimes they both did, which is legal. It's spread out. Now, these are the same folks who were being targeted by the GOP and online know-it-alls and others about bringing dark money to a county council race. Well, that also makes it interesting, or what actually makes it interesting is that his home, the guy who did the the hollering about against Pine Island, he was adamantly against it. So he and his wife spend a lot of money on these several candidates. And these same folks, again, being targeted by the GOP and these online know-it-alls about bringing this dark money into a county council race. Well, his home address in Charleston is like, quote unquote, right around the corner from the listed address locally of the SuperPAC. Coincidence? I don't know. I'm just saying he lives here, and right around the corner is where the address is. A P.O. box or something. So what does that mean? Well, I am in no way or shape or form accusing anyone of anything. Not at all. There are still things we need to find out, and hopefully they'll provide more information to the FEC. I doubt it, but anyway. First, and this is a big however, first reported here on the House of Cards, and if our results stand true and what we are finding is true, this is a picture perfectly designed effort of what's known as a couple things. One is called Cunningham's Law, and the other is backwards law. We told you about this here, and I remember the online know-it-alls like, you're out of your mind, dude. The GOP, this is ridiculous. This is coming from the candidates. What you're thinking is wrong. Well, guess what? Cunningham's Law states that the best way to get a right answer on the internet is to not ask a question, it's to post the wrong answer. Think about that. The other law, form of law, the backwards law, is a persuasion tactic where you advocate for the opposite of what you actually desire, relying on psychological reactance. If I poke you enough, I can get a reaction. So relying on psychological reactance, meaning people will rebel and choose your real goal just to feel in control and resist being told what to do. Republicans eat that shit up. Reverse psychology? Sure it is. Perfectly balanced to get this very result, possibly? Absolutely. The county GOP and those that think they know what they're talking about should feel quite embarrassed if this is true. Why? Well, you got played.
Introducing to you.
You're on House of Cards. Live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down now.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
All right. That is going to do it for this week. We're going to be back next week right here on Facebook, YouTube, simulcasting on BigPatriotRadio.com. We're going to have, this is going to be a bomber, a boom boom show. We're going to have Bluffton Police Chief Joe Babkowitz, good friend of the show. Going to have him on. The title of the show is What the Flock is Going On. That's right. We're going to be talking about the flock cameras that's eating up airwaves right now. We're going to talk about them right here in Beaufort County. Be sure to go on to click on our QR code. Check us out on buymeacoffee.com. Let's take one last look here. Nancy, thank you so much for speaking the truth, Mike. Well, Nancy, we appreciate you so much. Don't forget to like and share the show. Click on the like, the follow, the share, the hype, all that stuff on Facebook and YouTube. Again, click on the QR code. Help us out by buying me a coffee. I greatly appreciate it. Until then, next week, 7 o'clock right here on Thursday night, We will be back. Until then, be safe and watch your six, America.
No more facades. The people are watching from near and far, and truth and transparency are our guard. We're tearing down that house of cards. And Facebook Live on a Thursday night, see, bringing the facts and shining the light. No matter who's winning, no matter who's scared, the truth's got a way of hitting hard, and the people deserve to know what's true, what they're spending and who's pulling through. From Bluffton streets to Buford yards, the truth keeps shaking that house of cards. It's Beaufort County's house of cards, where the truth cuts through like a shooting star. And Facebook, YouTube, and Big Patriot Radio, taking the story where the people go. Truth and transparency are our regard. No one's too big, no matter who you are. And freedom survives when citizens guard against every house of cards. So tune in every Thursday night. We'll keep shining the light, and truth keeps standing tall as every house of cards can fall.